So there's an interesting study was done. Tom Stanley wrote a book, wonderful book, back in 1992 called The Millionaire Next Door. If you've not read that book, you should read it. It's the consummate study of millionaires, their behavior patterns, their purchase patterns. What's the actual average millionaire look like statistically? Who are they? He found that 88% of them, 9 out of 10, are first generation rich. They started from nothing and became rich. Then Tom did a book that did not sell as many copies, but it is a very, very interesting set of discoveries where he, several years later, I think it was called The Millionaire Mind, I believe it was, or Millionaire Mindset or something like that, by Tom Stanley. There's several books out there with that similar title, but that's not Tom Stanley's book, where he studied decamillionaires, people with $10 million net worths and greater. He studied these men and women that were all first-generation decamillionaires. They started from nothing, became worth $10 million or greater. And he only studied those that were that level, and he only studied those that had a household income of greater than $750,000 a year. Now, I got to tell you, I don't care who you are. If you make $750,000 a year, you have $10 million, by definition, you're rich. Okay? That's just pretty much straight up. That's a rich guy. Okay? Now, he studied these people, and he was looking to try to find objectively what the correlating characteristics were of these decamillionaires. What did he find that they all had in common and none of them had in common? And he plotted out and tracked and studied and researched and interviewed people around them and all of these things, and he came up with 38 correlating statistics. And he ranked them in order of most often appearing, meaning number 1 was one that everybody had, number 38 was the least important and least likely to appear. I was happy to see that way down the list was grade point average. Because I graduated, thank you, Lottie. So I was real happy to see that. And I'm not recommending that you go get bad grades. That's not what I'm saying, children. You need to study hard and hit the books. But I was happy to see that those of us that are not academically inclined have a chance. Or not, we don't want to live in academia. We have a chance. Interesting that in the top 5 correlating statistics was that most of these people, the vast majority of them, not to a man or to a woman, but the vast majority of them, to the point that it was in the top 5, had been married once and were still married and sought the counsel of their spouse. Their spouse was involved in their life. Maybe didn't work down at the business, maybe wasn't involved in the deal, but they were partners in life and in money. Top 5 correlating, meaning that if you do that, you are very likely, you have one of the key habits, one of the key character traits of what it takes to become a decamillionaire. So as I'm reading through this list and reading through this book, it's occurring to me, I really want to know what the number 1 is. What is the number 1 indicator that you get to be a decamillionaire? Worth $10 million and greater and making $750,000 a year. What was the number 1 correlated thing? What's the thing? What's the number 1 thing? I want to know the number 1 thing. I want to do the number 1 thing. You know what it was? Integrity. As he studied these people, to a man, to a woman, every single one of them had fanatical levels of integrity. They were freaks about integrity. They were over the top about integrity. When you talk to their employees, they said, man, woman of integrity. When you talk to their kids, you said, my dad says it, that's the deal. You talk to their spouse, you talk to their vendors, you even talk to their enemies. You talk to people who didn't like them. They all said, don't like him, but he's the truth. What he says he's going to do, he does. What she says she's going to do, they do. They follow through. They abide by the deal. Integrity was the number 1 correlated quality in the decamillionaire's life. The largest predictor of financial success is integrity. Now go cheat on your income tax. See, that's stupid. Who are you really shortchanging? I hate the income tax. I hate it. And I pay every stinking penny I owe. And then some, probably. Ugh. It's integrity. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.